CM Punk's big WWE update. Brock Lesnar's final chapter? WWE's biggest mystery explained. Punk return changes everything. Lesnar retirement truth revealed. Did WWE fans just uncover a major clue about CM Punk's future, or is this another hidden twist that nobody saw coming? And after years of rumors, speculation, and unanswered questions, is Brock Lesnar's retirement story finally making sense, or is there still one more surprise waiting behind the curtain? For years, the WWE Universe has learned one important lesson: when it comes to wrestling, things are almost never exactly what they seem. A simple appearance, a small comment, or even a quiet moment backstage can turn into a massive storyline weeks or months later. Right now, two of the biggest names in modern wrestling are sitting right in the middle of that mystery. CM Punk and Brock Lesnar. CM Punk's name has always carried a certain kind of energy. Whether fans love him or hate him, there is no denying that when Punk is involved, people pay attention. He has always been one of those wrestlers who can walk into a building, grab a microphone, say a few words, and suddenly the entire wrestling world is debating what happens next. That is the power of CM Punk. The guy could probably announce he is going to buy a sandwich and somehow fans would start analyzing if the sandwich choice is a secret WWE hint. Wrestling fans are detectives now. Nobody just watches anymore. Everyone has theories. Everyone has a conspiracy board somewhere. But recently, the conversation around Punk has changed. It is no longer just about whether he is around or whether he is involved. The question has become much bigger. What is WWE actually planning for him? Is there a major return or moment waiting? Is there a bigger story being kept away from fans? Because if there is one thing WWE has mastered over the years, it is keeping things quiet until the exact moment they want the world to react. And that brings us to the latest update that has people talking. There are growing discussions around CM Punk's future direction, and many fans believe the next chapter could completely change the WWE landscape. Now, before everyone starts jumping out of their seats and yelling "I knew it," let's slow down for a second. Wrestling rumors are like fireworks. Sometimes they explode into something incredible. Other times, they just make a loud noise and disappear. But the reason this situation feels different is because of the timing. WWE is currently in an era where every major move matters. Every return, every surprise appearance, and every alliance can shift the entire balance of the company. CM Punk is not just another name on the roster. His presence changes reactions. His presence changes conversations. When Punk appears, people tune in. When Punk speaks, people listen. When Punk disappears, people start asking questions. And that is exactly where the mystery begins. Because while fans have been trying to figure out what comes next for CM Punk, another massive question has been hanging in the air. What is really going on with Brock Lesnar? The Beast Incarnate has always been different from everyone else. Brock Lesnar never followed the traditional wrestling schedule. He never needed to. He could disappear, show up months later, and instantly feel like the biggest threat in the room. That is a rare type of star power. Most wrestlers spend years building momentum. Brock could walk through the curtain after being gone for a long time and immediately remind everyone, "Oh yeah, this is the guy who scares everybody." But recently, the conversation around Lesnar has taken a different tone. Fans have wondered whether we have seen the final chapter of his legendary career. And honestly, it is a strange feeling. Because for so long, Brock Lesnar felt almost impossible to imagine as someone who would actually step away. This is a guy who dominated opponents, destroyed expectations, and turned himself into one of the most unique attractions in wrestling history. The idea of Brock Lesnar quietly walking away feels almost unreal. It is like watching the final scene of a movie where the unstoppable villain finally puts down the weapon. You know it has to happen eventually, but you still wonder if there is one last battle left. And that is why the retirement question has become so interesting. Is Brock really finished? Or is this another situation where the story is more complicated than people realize? Because WWE has always understood the value of mystery. Sometimes silence says more than an announcement. Sometimes keeping fans guessing creates more excitement than giving them every answer immediately. And with someone like Brock Lesnar, silence itself becomes part of the story. Fans have been looking back at his career, his recent appearances, and everything surrounding his future. They are asking whether the end has already happened without anyone realizing it. Think about that for a moment. What if the final Brock Lesnar match has already happened? What if fans were watching history without knowing they were watching history? That is the kind of question wrestling creates better than almost anything else. It turns simple moments into memories. A regular match becomes the last one. A normal entrance becomes the final appearance. A simple goodbye becomes something fans talk about years later. And this is where CM Punk and Brock Lesnar become connected in a very interesting way. Not necessarily because they are involved in the same storyline, but because both represent different eras of WWE. Punk represents the wrestler who challenged the system, who built a connection with fans through honesty and rebellion. Brock represents the unstoppable force, the rare athlete who felt almost bigger than the business itself. Two completely different personalities. Two completely different careers. But both created the same reaction from fans: when are they coming back? That is what makes these stories so fascinating. The wrestling business is built on anticipation. Fans wait for moments. They wait for surprises. They wait for that music to hit and the crowd to explode. And sometimes the waiting becomes part of the story. Now, some people believe CM Punk's next move could be tied to a major WWE direction that nobody expects. Others believe Brock Lesnar's story still has one more chapter left. And honestly, that is what makes wrestling fun. Everybody has a theory. One fan thinks they figured it out because they noticed a tiny detail in an interview. Another fan believes a random social media post is secretly a clue. Someone else is convinced a certain wrestler wearing a certain shirt means a huge return is coming. And you know what? Sometimes they are right. That is the crazy part. Wrestling fans have predicted some of the biggest surprises simply because they pay attention to details. So now the question becomes, what happens next? Could CM Punk be heading toward another huge WWE moment? Could Brock Lesnar return for one final run? Or are fans connecting dots that were never meant to connect? That is the mystery. And while we wait for the answers, there is one thing we know for sure: both CM Punk and Brock Lesnar have already left a mark that cannot be erased. Their stories are not just about matches or championships. They are about moments. The kind of moments that make fans remember exactly where they were when something happened. That is why every rumor feels important. Because with names like these, anything can happen. If you are enjoying these WWE deep dives, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next big update. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think. Do you believe CM Punk